Welcome to the Highest Health Podcast. Raise your health, elevate yourself, and enrich your life. Experience a world of health sovereignty. As you near your highest health, you near your most luminous self. All right, guys, welcome back. Today we have the freediving Nomad, Ray Koh, on the show. Ray went from a career in finance for 20 plus years to a career as a freediving instructor. Him and I met back in October 2020 when I was completing a freediving certification. Welcome to the show, Ray.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
How far back do you want to go? Born in Youngstown, Ohio.
Let's go back to your career in finance before your freediving career.
I started my career in finance about in 1997 in Hong Kong. I did. It was kind of slow going for the first year. Started from the bottom, and then I ended up impressing some people and got a transfer to a different job in Taiwan, which is more suited for my personality. And within the first year, I did really, really well, and my salary increased by multiples in the next year or two.
Dang.
And then it was a good salary, it was good bonuses, and there's no reason to think about doing anything else because it was so much money so early in my career. I think a lot of people in that position, they start thinking about MBA and stuff like that. And they're just like, I'm making more than the average MBA by multiples. So
how old are you?
26, 7, 8 at that time, 29. And, all the way up until 2008, it's just every year it's just got, we had one or two bad years, but it just got more and more. And
wow.
And it's a pretty crazy career. You wake up really early in the morning. You're in the office all day because I'm trading the markets. I'm kind of a slave to the market hours. Kind of disconnected from nature, disconnected from being outside, artificial lights, artificial air. But I was making a lot of money. It was fun. It was interesting, but it wasn't my passion. But everything's kind of uncrumbled around 2008. You sort of make a contract with yourself when you sort of begin this. Because intrinsically you're not super happy. Bit of a hippie myself, and but then you get married, you have kids, and you have responsibilities, and then at the end of the day, I felt like I was kind of living somebody else's life. But you have all of these external things like I have nice clothes, I have a nice car, I have a nice apartment. I have enough money to take care of my kids and. Nice restaurants, nice wine, nice champagne, nice holidays. Yeah, you think that's cool. All right. So what am I complaining about? Life is good, but I was drinking a lot. It's part of the job and also kind of numbing, I guess, this thing that I wasn't happy. Right. I was just kind of covering that. And you make a contract with yourself when you're making that much money. It's like, I only need to do this until I'm 40 something. I'll have enough money to retire or figure out the next part of my career. But what happens when the market crumbles, you lose your job and you get a divorce that basically wipes out your entire net worth and then some, right? So,
wow.
Yeah.
So
2008, it was like the week that Lehman went bust, I filed for divorce for my ex-wife.
Wow.
And for custody of my children.
Wow.
That lasted 8 years, and that was a rough 8 years mentally. Because just trying to be a father to get custody of your children, not great. You look at how Kanye West is being attacked by the media right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to prevent him from seeing his daughter on her birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just I had a lot of evidence against my ex-wife of abuse,
Oh my gosh.
to everybody around us, the children, to me, the
Oh
helpers
my
we had.
gosh. So sorry.
But the courts didn't see it my way. She violated a lot of court orders access. She wouldn't even let me see my kids, and the courts
Wow.
did nothing. And so it's very difficult when of anybody who's ever fought the system.
Yeah, I can imagine the
It's
stress.
tough, right? And yeah, but it got resolved. Not resolved, but it's over.
Where were
My
you living
daughter's
at that time?
Hong Kong, and sort of towards the end, I had to move to Taiwan for a job. And so I
Okay.
was commuting between there and Hong Kong to see my kids, and then ultimately stayed in Taiwan. The kids moved back to Japan, but that took a lot out of me.
Wow.
And right when that sort of closed up, another problem cropped up, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Oh my goodness.
So, like, during that whole 8 years, I had to fight off depression, anxiety, perhaps a drinking problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I have fibromyalgia rolling around,
Dang.
which my doctor suspects, we never know for sure, that it came from my Hep B vaccine, the
Oh
second
wow.
dosage. I felt so crappy afterwards that he suggested I not take the third dose of the Hep B vaccine. Fibromyalgia sucks. If I didn't have to go to work and it was on the weekend, I would lay in bed for like 2 hours before my body felt like it could start functioning.
Jeez.
If at work, you have no choice, right? I got to pop out of bed. I got to do whatever I can. I did everything that I could, natural, pharmaceuticals, anything I could to just, it was a daily battle of pain management. And
Dang.
lethargy was insane. Pain was just, this constant low grade pain all day. Sometimes it was worse, sometimes it's okay. But yeah, it's just, it also prevented me the one thing that was keeping me healthy, which was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is like probably my bigger passion than freediving.
No
Right.
way.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
yeah, San Diego's a great place to do it too.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm sure it took a drastic effect on your mood because not only are you in pain, struggling to get out of bed, but preventing you from doing things that you love.
Yeah, I was in good shape too. I mean, it took me a while to get into good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu shape, but after one session there, it would take me days to recover. Everything was just even, my whole fascia felt tighter. The pain is more intense for days. And so I couldn't even train like 2 days in a row or the day after. Maybe at most once or twice a week I could train. When you take away that passion away from you, and it's like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
But
and you're still working at finance at this time too.
yeah. But fortunately, I was able to transition into another passion, which is freediving, which did the complete opposite.
What year was this?
2019, March 2019.
So
I took my first freedive course. Yeah. And about 3 years ago, right? Almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it had the complete opposite effect. I felt energized. I didn't feel exhausted. In the city, even now when I go into the city, I have this exhaustion, which I now recognize is just your cortisol levels are just shot up, and you're not tired in a good way. You're tired in a bad way. It's like tired in a bad way where you're not going to get great sleep, right? But
yeah.
during those 4 days, I had felt this, you go on like this holiday at the beach or the beach all day, you get some sun, you feel this natural tiredness around 7, 8 o'clock. And that's like a tiredness that's going to equate to like really good sleep and not crappy sleep like you would in the city, right? I had this energy. I didn't wake up in pain because the water, obviously working out in the water is much better than getting pulled apart on the mats in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Right? Yeah. So it's a very gentle form of exercise, but still pretty good exercise. I just felt like a new person. Before that, I felt like I was 80 years old. It was like I'm just getting older every day. And how old am I going to feel when I'm 10 years older? Right.
Frightening thought.
Yeah. Cause this is like, is this how old people feel? Cause this is awful. But now like the past year has been a really big improvement of my fibromyalgia symptoms. It feels like it's kind of almost all gone. I have to be careful not to exert myself too much and know when to take a break, but that could be my adrenal fatigue. I think I have adrenal fatigue So
Huh.
it might be that. It might be. I might have been. I had fibromyalgia and adrenal fatigue. So
Yeah, I bet. So what drew you to freediving when you took that first course?
it was a feeling, just how I felt. I mean, I always loved the water. I
Okay.
always loved the water. I always loved the ocean. I just read Blue Mind.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah, I just read Blue Mind, and it's just like it's just telling me, it's just like scientifically proving to me everything I knew. I wanted to be by the water, and it's just like, ooh, there you go. I never had my thing in the ocean, right? Long distance swimming, scuba diving, surfing. I all tried, but just didn't love it, right?
It didn't click.
Until I jumped into freediving, and I've done float tanks before. I've done a little bit of meditation at that point, and it just felt like that. It felt like it's just like, this is my meditation. I come up to the surface of a dive, and I feel happy. I get out of the water. I'm tired, but I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
I'm content. I feel great. I'm tired, but this is all wonderful. I didn't feel the effects of the fibromyalgia. And then 2 months later, my instructor's like, I'm doing a level 2 course. You want to do it? I was like, yes. Tell me the dates. Where to send the money? I'm done.
And you were still a student at this time, just
yeah. And still working in
okay.
finance.
Okay.
And it's just to prove that this wasn't a fluke, right? I felt even better. I felt 20 years younger. Vitality, this energy, which is incredible. I felt like 20 years old. I had people on my course that were 20 something, young and fit, and I was keeping up. And so I was like, yeah,
Incredible.
this is for me. I'm like, I'm gonna and I was kind of looking for a side hustle, because I didn't have any side hustle really. I've tried a few things, and I was like, all right, I might as well do something that I'm passionate about, right? And I was like, all right, I'll be a freedive instructor. I'll see this thing through. So I decided to become a freedive instructor. I was going to take the 3rd level in Bali in November. The year after that, trained to be a freedive instructor. So
Wow.
like, I was on a 1-year plan to become a freedive instructor. And then a month later, I got laid off by my company.
Oh my gosh.
So I got laid off by the same company twice in 2 years.
Twice? How did they do that?
Because I got laid off in 2017.
And then they rehired you?
Rehired me about a year and a half later, and then fired me again 6 months later.
Wow.
Which is fine, because in Taiwan, you get really good severance. And so it gave me, a decent severance that I could go down to Indonesia and take my certification course. And at that time, I was still thinking, like, I'm still going to go out and try to get a job again. Same thing. But this is the second half of the year. Not a big hiring season for my job, but I'll just keep the feelers out for early next year. And by then, I'll have my freedive certification that I can side hustle and yada, yada, yada. But
had COVID hit at this point yet?
So COVID hit, a lot of uncertainty. And I realized, man, this is the second time in 2 years. I'm getting older. This is a young man's job. They're not looking to hire people with like my age. And, better technology has taken over a lot of jobs, or made each person more efficient. So they didn't need as many positions. And so I had to pivot. And so it seems like I'm going to be doing teaching freediving full time. And that's what I do now, nearly on a full-time basis.
How long did it take you to come to that conclusion? Was it just like a radical shift in your thought pattern, where you were just like, one day you were like, I'm not going back to finance, I'm going to pursue freediving? Or was it something that kind of built upon itself after a few weeks of thought?
Well, I thought I'd be doing digital marketing first. Me and my wife were going to start started a digital marketing agency, but I'm not really, and a lot of people they're kind of fake it till you make it. And they just outsource everything. And that's like not my style. I got to really know something before I start selling.
Gotcha.
And so I sort of used my freediving business as in terms of gaining that knowledge of doing, rather than just conceptually knowing stuff, right? To gain that level of confidence to sell, because I can't sell something I don't know something about deeply, right? So
absolutely.
Now I'm kind of getting into selling SEO products now, or SEO services.
Cool.
Because I started ranking pretty high in for my website. But I guess teaching freediving is going to be the income for now, the main income for now.
No, that's awesome. So you had this radical career shift. I'm always fascinated by folks who go through a radical career shift. I mean, you went from probably 12, 14-hour days in a cubicle behind a computer screen, absorbing
Eight computer screens.
8 computer screens. That is a lot of radiation.
Yeah, imagine the EMF for that. So not only am I breathing a natural air, a natural light, I also have this huge bank of radiation, EMF, right, just sprayed at me, and it's toxic. I went home not feeling good every day. I went home exhausted. I would just go home and just lay in bed for 2 hours, and then I was like, all right, now I got enough energy to make dinner. And then go to sleep.
Yeah. How did you get through the day? Like a lot of caffeine?
I had to go on and off caffeine because sometimes it kind of messed up my adrenals, I think. But
Yeah.
I think for then, kratom, kratom, that was probably the big one. But I've tried a lot of pain things. Let's just say anti-pain things. Mostly not pharmaceuticals, though tramadol is pretty good these days, or not these days, but have in the past. But I just took tramadol for like some muscle pain, a muscle pull.
Wow.
And after 3 days of that, I had not really bad. I had some mild withdrawals from that, and that wasn't fun. So kratom was probably the best natural pain relief for me that I could take. Or if I'm in Vegas, some of the dispensaries giving out some good medicine. So yeah.
Tell our listeners what freediving is. I imagine not everyone is familiar.
Freediving is doing water stuff on a breath hold. So it could be, no scuba tanks. So you take a big breath on the surface and you dive down. It could be like we do line diving to go as, to challenge personal challenges is to go as deep as we can. It could be dive down to go look up close to the corals or where you guys are, the kelp beds, to go down and play with the sea lions down at La Jolla Cove, or go spearfishing, or go down to collect shellfish like the Ama tribe in Japan. They go down to collect the oysters for the pearls, or underwater photography or underwater modeling. So all these are quote unquote free diving.
So going down on one single breath, no tank, and taking part in usually recreational activity and sometimes a little bit of hunting as well.
Yep.
Have you done any hunting, spearfishing?
No. In Taiwan, spearfishing with a gun requires a gun license, which is not very easy to get here. You could pole spear, but I live on an island, and it's like spearfishing is very much like surfing, right? Because it's a limited resource and people get very territorial. Yeah. So I was told if you're not local, you shouldn't go spearfishing.
Didn't know that.
Or pole spearing, right? Because I really want to, because I'm really into like the getting my own food, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd like to have like a little plot of land. I can grow my own vegetables and then go out and kill my own fish to eat for dinner.
That is the dream meal.
Yeah.
No better way to eat. Tell us a little bit about your lifestyle now. Like on an average day, what does your day look like? How does it compare to your life in finance?
Well, I still wake up around the same time, like 5 a.m., like I did this morning. But my quality of sleep is a lot better. I wake up, I could just pop right out of bed. I do stretching, about half an hour stretching in the morning. And that has been a big game changer. These little aches and pains that, when you grow older, these infrastructure doesn't work as good. It's a little creaky. And so the stretching helps a lot. Actually, stretching also helps hydrate you better.
I didn't know that.
I always feel thirsty and I drink a lot of water, but it always goes down. But stretching actually helps hydrate your fascia.
Oh, cool.
And so I feel like I'm retaining a lot more water.
I love stretching. Yeah. Just another reason for me to stretch.
Yeah. And I didn't. So it's a great way to just listen to a podcast to kill the time. And it's like, I did 30 minutes. After that, then I'll go for a walk in the sun. If it's warm enough, I'll take my shirt off so I can get more sun. And that is probably the biggest game changer for me for my sleep. I had issues before. I had bad sleep for 30 years. Ever since I started college, I started having trouble with my sleep. Yeah, that was a big game changer. I was sleeping through the night on a very consistent basis. I was getting tired nice and early, and I was sleeping well, sleeping deeply. And so I'd wake up refreshed. Morning sun. And after listening to Andrew Huberman, like that was one of his big ones. I was like, yep, I agree. Right here, right here.
Yeah, completely agree as well.
That was a big game changer. So like when I'd wake up, my job before, wake up same time, 5 a.m. But I'd be like, snoozing through it, right? I would snooze until it was like 10 minutes before I have to leave the house, and then just like shower, brush my teeth, make my coffee, and then leave, right?
Yeah.
And I get to work at 6:15 and the sun is not even up yet. I've never, had morning sun for the longest time. And obviously that probably helped contribute to my sleep problems as well. At work, I'm in office all day. Don't even have time to go see a doctor until the market closes or go to the bank or do whatever. I had 99% of my lunches at the desk, eating and working at the same time, right? And so on the island, I wake up, I do a podcast, then I go for a morning walk, 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depends on my mood, sometimes a little bit longer. And I start working. I start getting behind my computer for most of the day. And if I'm not freediving, writing content, working on SEO stuff. If I'm not in the water for freediving, I'll either in the afternoon to take a break from my job, from my work, I'll go to the beach, go for a quick swim, or even just walking, getting my feet wet in the sand, earthing to break up the day. And once in a while, when there's a sunset, I'll go to the west side and check out the sunset, just stare at it. It just never gets old. It never gets old. And then my wife, when she wakes up, she'll go down to the market. There's like literally 0 supermarkets here.
Wow.
It's all on the street. Yeah. But this is a big fishing community. It's they have boats all around the world. They have it in the Atlantic, near the American Samoa, near Mauritius. So they'll come back with some like mahi. Right now it's mackerel season, which is very high omega-3s.
I love mackerel. It's one of my favorite dishes.
Yeah. And and the omega-3s, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the vegetables are grown on the island. And so, me and the wife, we usually eat just vegetables and fish or meat and make some rice and like rice noodles and that, nice. And some fruit. They have wonderful fruit here as well. So, not very many packaged food. We try not to eat a lot because they put MSG on everything. Yeah, I'd rather not. So we try to find places that have less MSG or no MSG.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I much prefer just to make my own food. I know what's in it. I know how I like it. And
no, I see your food. I see your Instagram. I'm like, I want some of that.
If you ever come back to San Diego, I'll have you over for dinner. You and your wife.
It's a deal.
Yeah. Tell the listeners what island you're on. I don't want to pronounce it because I don't want to butcher it.
I'm on the island of Xiaoliuqiu, which is the southwest corner of Taiwan.
Okay.
And Taiwan's about 100 kilometers away from China. For freediving, so there's 6 outlying islands on Taiwan. There's like Penghu, Orchid Island, Green Island, and there's 2 near China. This island is the only one you can freedive year round. It's also the most accessible island because all those other islands you either have to take a long ferry or a plane ride to. And we're just a 20-minute ferry ride from the mainland. And it's got like 800 sea turtles here. So if you like sea turtles, you can see it almost every time I go in the water. I see sea turtles.
So cool.
Yeah. And it's also good for people who come here if they travel far away. It's like, like the corals are a bit decimated and the fish population is not as what it used to be. I mean, although there still are some fishes. But to be able to see like nice sea turtles just kind of like gliding.
That is so lovely.
And like, because they move so slow, you can kind of just like catch up to it, dive down, take a photo with it.
Hang out with them.
So so that's what's cool about this island.
Yeah, it sounds like the culture there is to live really close to the earth and just the natural way of life.
Yeah. It's also with a small island, you get community. And, like studies of happiness, they find that community is a component of happiness. And we have friends that stop by with the unannounced.
Yeah. How often does that happen?
What doesn't happen to me in the city is like I lived in a place like nobody's visited for a year, right?
Yeah.
Just to say hi sometimes, right? If you need to borrow something,
I love it.
like remember back in the days in the US, you would go to your neighbors and borrow sugar. Who does that now, right? No, I was like, and people understand. It's like I'm going to borrow that. I could buy it, but they're all very environmentally conscious. They understand like what's the point of buying it when I could just lend you something, right? And a lot of lending going back and forth. And also, when you're on a small island, you can't be a dick, because if you're a dick, everybody knows you're a dick. If I'm in a big city and I'm just misbehave myself, no consequences, because nobody knows who I am, right? Unless somebody grabs it on video and I become viral on TikTok. But yeah, it's everyone's in check here, right? There's nobody having road rage or anything. So
that's so cool.
It's a good place to live. It's a good place to live.
I love that community feel. What are some of the best freediving spots you've been to?
So one of my favorites was in Indonesia, right? So I went to Gili Air, which is off Lombok, which is this one of the 3 islands chain off of Lombok, and it's about a 3-hour ferry from Bali. And it's just the island we're on, there's no motorized vehicle. It's only bikes and walking. And you can walk around the island in an hour. And the food there is amazing. It's cheap. It's like super healthy food, like nice smoothie bowls for like really nice smoothie bowls for like $2 or $3 US.
Amazing.
Good vegetarian food. And we also cooked a lot ourselves, and the vegetables there, they didn't look great, but they tasted amazing. Like these vegetables wouldn't be put on the shelves in the US, but they tasted amazing, because when you are surrounded by volcanoes, you have very rich nutrient soil to grow vegetables on. And so they taste amazing, like vegetables that have a taste.
Yeah.
Or the US, I think in the US, you have to mask stuff with sauce and stuff. But if you like, just simple cooking, steaming, put a little salt on it, it tastes wonderful. Then in Bali, because Gili Air, you have to boat dive. North of Bali in Ahmed, it's this nice little fishing village, and it's not crowded like south of Bali, where there's a lot of partying and stuff like that. A lot of people there are just scuba divers or free divers, right? And you can get 50 meters swimming 100 meters from shore, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's very quiet part of Bali. And, Bali just has this vibe, which I don't know how to describe it, but apparently there's like these 2 vortexes that intersect right in Bali, whatever that is, which gives you good frequency, right? Or whatever. I don't know. But another one is Sedona. So you have like these vortexes, and you have 3 volcanoes there. And so I'm sure it makes for quite a nice vibe to sit and meditate and do yoga and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And why did you leave the States? I know you were here in San Diego for a little while, because that's how I met you.
Well, I haven't lived, I left the US in 1995. I graduated from university, and I moved to China to learn Mandarin, because I'm Chinese, so why not? And then I thought I'd just check out Asia for a couple of years, move back to the US, but it just seemed, for me, my career was taking off in Asia, and I couldn't replicate that in the US. Had a good life and decent life, versus like the only other place I could have done my job was in New York City, where taxes are really high. So it wasn't as safe. And I just feel safe here. I feel safe here. There isn't any gun violence here. I have national health insurance. If I go back to the US, I'll have to pay hundreds of dollars a month for my insurance, not to mention what the copay is. And here, my premium for my national health insurance is about $30 a month.
Wow.
Copays are like $3 for the doctor, $3 to $5 for the doctor copay. Wow. If I go to the dentist, it's $5 for a cleaning.
Unheard of.
Yeah. So I just like it. Me and my wife, our cost of living here every month is about $1,000 a month. Wow. Including rent, our health insurance, our food, paying for the parking for the car we have across the harbor, scooter maintenance, all these stuff. So
So it was a pretty easy decision for you.
Yeah. And at the time when we moved back, well, my intention was because I was stuck at a desk for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have this job where I can work from a cafe or I can say, oh, I'm work from Bangkok next week or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a lot of flexibility. And so I was limited. I love traveling. I love discovering new places, and not just as a tourist, but I had a taste of this when I was in between jobs. I went to Chiang Mai for a few months and started to appreciate slow travel. Not just going one place for a few days and checking out a whole bunch of tourist spots. I like plopping myself down somewhere for a few months and getting to know the place, getting the vibe of the place, and getting to know the place like a local. I forgot where I was going with this.
Was it an easy decision?
Yeah. Oh, so when I was like on the plane ride over to Indonesia, when I was going there to do my freedive certification, I was like, I need a name. I'm going to start a new Instagram account to document my journey into freediving. And I was like, okay, I want freediving to be my vehicle to go see the world. And so I came up with a freedive nomad. And so I've been the freedive nomad ever since. And since then I dove in Gili Air, in Bali, in Thailand, in Vegas, in San Diego,
wow,
and back in Taiwan. And me and the wife were just going to plan on traveling the world, teaching freediving until COVID happened. we were supposed to go to Mexico in February or March, and end of February we're going to go to Mexico, and then we're going to go to Europe. And then COVID happened, and that was an election year. It had COVID. It's just every day I was just angry. And then there's Taiwan, where it was no COVID. And so it was so me and my wife made plans to move back to Taiwan.
Okay. And how long were you in the US for before you moved back to Taiwan?
February to November.
Okay.
2020.
So you weren't here for very long.
That was a long time for me. It was only supposed to be 2 months.
So I literally met you like in a brief blip of time that you were back in the States.
Yeah, but ideally, once things open up, I want to be able to pop.
You want to pursue that plan?
Go to the US for a couple of months, go to Europe for a couple of months, and come back here for a couple of months and just kind of be on the cycle, right? And just see what flights work out. I'm turning 50 this year. I'm not getting any younger. And so my what do I have? Like 20, 15 years to have this constant mobility. And so I want to take advantage of it. Have to settle down in one place for a while.
For our listeners, if they want to make a radical lifestyle shift like you did, do you have any advice?
Yeah, make sure you have enough money first.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, to last a couple of years, because the transition, the first year was fine. We had money. And the second year, we're starting to have to live month to month. So if we don't make enough money that month, then we're going to be, starving the next. So make sure you have a couple of years of savings to get you through before you, because it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes we made. And, mistakes are great way to learn. But as long as you have enough money in the bank.
What were some fears that you had to overcome to pursue this freediving lifestyle?
Can I make enough money to live and support my kids? Also, I'm wondering how my fibromyalgia would affect my stamina. But over the last year, my stamina has just gotten better and better. So, and I know how to sense when I'm sort of overclocking it, and I'll take more time to meditate, to stretch, to bring my nervous system down to more parasympathetic. So that's so important to be able to sense that when you're, so I used to have an aura ring, and it kind of tells, but now I know I could feel when my body is starting to teeter over the edge, and I back off from it. I have the option of being health first and then work later, because if I'm not healthy, I can't work. The other option was I'm just going to have to beat myself up and take whatever pain medication I need to get myself to be able to work. And that has its consequences.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about what you've seen in your students. Have you seen any shifts in their mindset, their spirit, their health that would lead you to believe freediving and being in the ocean has profound benefits?
It's rewarding for me because before my job, before it was just helping people push money around the world. And it's not very rewarding. I didn't make anything. I didn't change anybody's lives. And when I teach freediving, I teach it. My target audience is like white collar professionals, older people. And I teach the pool portion of the course a lot of times in Taipei, in the big city. And usually it's after their work and they look tired. They look stressed out. They look like they have a cloud over their heads, right? Mm. And then when they come here, nice island, it's sunny. They have smile on their faces. They have, joy on their faces. And when I, towards the end of the course, when they started getting the hang of it, I literally could see like this big smile on their face after they surface. And they're just like, man, this is great. This is great. And I was like, I know that feeling. And it's such a pleasure to give people that, right? And also, this is a challenge. This is not like scuba diving where 90+% of the people pass, right? Not everybody passes this. This is a great challenge. Whenever I teach the static breath hold, it's like 1.5 minutes for mulchinauts, and I can't hold my breath more than 30 seconds. I'll die. I think I'll go crazy. I don't know, right? And then every single one of my students that passed it, they're like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I did 1.5 minutes. That's awesome. And so being able to show people that they can accomplish things, for they kind of put their mind to it, it's great.
Speaking from personal experience, I can relate to that. I remember line diving with you, Ray. It was just level 1, which is you got to go down to 40 feet. And for me, like 40 feet was a lot because I was new. Some coaching tips. I went down the line. I closed my eyes because I didn't like seeing how much water was above me. And it helped with keeping my neck straight, which is something that you're supposed to do. So I didn't see like how far I was going. I just went down. And when I felt the need to turn around back up, I did. And then I came up not thinking that I hit the 40 marker, and you were like, you did it. And I was like, no way. So it really pushes you out of your comfort zone, but it allows you to see what you're capable of.
Yeah. And also closing your eyes is amazing. The things happening when you free dive and you close your eyes. So like they say, like, what's the difference between scuba diving and free diving? Scuba diving is you do it to see outside. You want to see all the fish and blah, blah, blah. Free diving, you see within. That's why they call it's a very meditative sport. And so closing your eyes allows you to get more in that meditative state. Also, when you're going down, there's because of the pressure, the oxygen is a lot more concentrated. And so you're getting a lot more oxygenation of your brain. And so you're feeling great that way. You get the pressure from the ocean, from the pressure going deeper down. So it feels like Mother Earth is giving you like this nice big hug. So you got like some proprioceptive touch or sensations, right? And so there's so many things going on by diving down, especially with your eyes closed. That is super meditative, super healing. And it's just a big, I think it's like a wellness sport, right?
I agree. Because when I surfaced, I felt so high. I remember surfacing and looking out at the La Jolla shores, just high. The sun was shining, the ocean was sparkling, and I can see it was a meditative like activity.
I just remember a couple of weeks ago, we had super awesome visibility here.
Nice.
And I was teaching a student. I was just giddy. I was so happy. It was just, I've seen this so many times, but it just never gets old. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Nature is beautiful, right? And I get to, this is my work. I get paid to do this. And I was just giddy with happiness and joy. It was incredible.
Yeah. No.
It's hard to describe to people when you've never done it before, right?
This is true.
I'm trying to get better at articulating it, but
yeah, and
you just have to try it.
Yeah. And it's so cool how you're getting paid to do something you love.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share about the healing benefits of being in the ocean and free diving?
Read like the Blue Mind. Personally, I had a little bit difficulty reading it, and so I had to do an Audible book.
Okay.
That was a lot better. Or you can like, there's a lot of it on YouTube. A lot of his stuff. Jay Wallace Nichols is all over YouTube talking about it. So that's a good way to summarize it. But when I was in Gili Air doing my instructor certification, it's also an amazing painkiller because I'd wake up with the fibromyalgia pain and I just slump myself over to the boat and I'll be the first one in the water because as soon as I got in the water, all the pain is gone. You're tired's gone, right? It's just this pain, incredible painkiller, right? And this is neurochemical cocktail that is produced when you're in the water, you're free dive, like serotonin, dopamine, all this stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And when you're most importantly, cortisol goes down. Right when you get in the water, your cortisol level goes down, and for men, that's important. If you have high cortisol, it's going to decrease your testosterone, right? If you have easiest way to increase your testosterone is to lower your cortisol. That obviously cortisol is a stress hormone as well. So being relaxed has its benefits, but more of like the physiological benefit of lower cortisol is increased testosterone. And your brain also goes in the meditative state immediately when you get in the water, like theta, alpha. They put like these electric nodes on the head and they measured it as soon as they got in the water. So
that is so cool.
So many benefits of just being in the water. Just find something you like to do in the water, in the ocean. It could be surfing. It could be scuba diving. It could just be long distance swimming. But for me, it was freediving. And for some people, it could be freediving as well. But just find your place in the ocean. It's a beautiful place to be.
Thank you so much, Ray. Where can our listeners find you?
Well, I have a podcast for total beginner freedivers. A lot of content out in freediving assumes that you have some knowledge of freediving. And there isn't a lot of total beginner content out there. And so I did a podcast. Each episode's about 5 to 10 minutes long. 15 episodes, give you like super basic information about freediving, dispel some of the, the falsehoods of freediving, like whether it's dangerous or not. And why I hated my octopus teacher.
I watched that one.
And great. So it's called Total Beginner Freedive Podcast. And I'm Freedive Nomad everywhere. I'm Freedive Nomad on YouTube. Freedivenomad.com is my website. For my teaching courses is freedivenomadtaiwan.com. And Instagram is Freedive Nomad.
Thank you for listening to Highest Help. If you gained value from today's episode, leave a review, share with a friend, or post on social media. If you're interested in achieving your highest help or already pursuing it, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you.